Coming up on Mountain News this morning, federal prosecutors resign over the investigation into last week's deadly ICE shooting. We have the latest on the growing immigration crackdown in Minneapolis. And a House bill has been introduced for the 5th year in a row, why legislators say it's important to keep Kentucky's National Guard at home in the Commonwealth.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. I'm Caroline Mueller here with you on this Wednesday, January 14th. The time is now 6 a.m., so let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist Megan Desmond for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, it is not too bad out there right now, but I know it might not stay that way. What's it looking like?
Yeah, you're exactly right on that forecast, Caroline. It's kind of great outside. I mean, upper 40s, low 50s to start off your day. You'd think that it's only going to get better, but yeah, it's only going to get worse from here. These are the warmest temperatures of the day. Cold front swinging through, and we'll drop those temperatures throughout the next several hours. So let's break down that forecast a little bit further as we see the rain moving into the region this morning. Now, this rain will continue as rain for the next couple of hours, but as we head towards the late afternoon, that cold front will drop us down, giving us a chance for a wintry mix. And as we head into the evening hours, well, that's when we're starting to look at a chance for some snow. That's why we're under that winter advisory for portions of Harlan, Letcher, Pike, and Wise County. Here's a look at that forecast over the next 12 hours, though. Lots of rain and, of course, the wintry mix on the way. Caroline.
Megan, thank you. Today, top White House officials are set to host representatives from Denmark and Greenland as President Trump intensifies his push to acquire Greenland. Ahead of the meeting, Greenland's prime minister says he prefers Denmark and the European Union to the U.S. It comes after President Trump was in Michigan to tout his economic agenda. While there, he had a wide-ranging exclusive interview with CBS News, during which he warned the U.S. could take, quote, very strong action against Iran if the country decides to hang anti-government protesters. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
To all Iranian patriots, keep protesting.
President Trump told anti-government demonstrators in Iran that help is on the way, as sources inside the country tell CBS News thousands could be dead from the government's violent crackdown on protests. In a wide-ranging interview with CBS Evening News, the president ratcheted up warnings on Tehran if the government makes good on threats to hang protesters this week.
If they do such a thing, we will take very strong action.
The one-on-one in the heart of American auto manufacturing. President Trump visiting Michigan to celebrate his administration's efforts on the economy.
Investment is booming, incomes are rising, inflation is defeated.
He said that hours after the latest consumer price index showed that inflation in December was the same as it was in November, 2.7% compared to last year. But grocery prices jumped more than 3%.
I'm a lot more cautious at the grocery store. We buy less of things.
As the Trump administration looks to acquire Greenland, the country's prime minister says they'd prefer to stay with Denmark over the U.S. President Trump to reporters.
That's going to be a big problem for him.
Officials from Greenland and Denmark are expected to meet with Vice President J.D. Vance and other top U.S. officials today at the White House. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Exactly 1 week after an ICE agent fatally shot a woman in Minneapolis, sources tell CBS News several career federal prosecutors in D.C. have resigned over the handling of the case. Half a dozen Minneapolis federal prosecutors have also left the job. The New York Times reports they resigned because senior DOJ officials are pushing for a criminal investigation into Good's widow. President Trump, in a one-on-one with CBS Evening News, spoke about Good.
I would bet you that she, under normal circumstances, was a very solid, wonderful person, but you know, her actions were pretty tough.
The state of Minnesota is now suing the Department of Homeland Security, claiming the deployment endangers the public safety and has provoked protests. The Justice Department continues to grind in its work to process the massive trove of Epstein files. Now it's pushing hundreds of lawyers reviewing pages to work faster. That's according to a recent email from DOJ leadership and court filings over the past few days. An email from the head of the Justice Department's Criminal Division asked his team aim to review documents at a pace of 1,000 pages a day. The Justice Department is making redactions to documents as it operates under a mandate to make the Epstein files public in compliance with the transparency law. Officials said as of last week, lawyers in the criminal division had reviewed around 209,000 pages of the files. Indonesia and Malaysia have become the first countries to block Elon Musk's AI tool, Grok. It's been under scrutiny for allowing users to create sexually explicit images from real photos. Officials in both Indonesia and Malaysia have said these sexually graphic images are the reason they have banned the tool. Grok is different from other AI chatbots because it's integrated into X, formerly known as Twitter. Musk has been resistant to limit Grok, saying doing so is a form of censorship. Nearly 50 serious acts of anti-Semitism have taken place across Kentucky in 2025, according to the Kentucky Jewish Council's annual anti-Semitism report. Rabbi Shlomo Litvin says there were fewer acts of anti-Semitism in Kentucky last year than there were in 2024, but that's not the case worldwide. The council's main concerns for 2026 are curbing anti-Semitic situations in education, calling on local print media outlets to not elevate hate speech, and addressing radical political viewpoints in our communities.
So many of the evil ideologies that America fights against on a daily basis. It is not limited to right or left. It is not limited to a religious group or a socioeconomic standing. Immorality is found everywhere, and as such, anti-Semitism is found everywhere.
Litvin says these ideas are spreading through younger and younger groups in the Commonwealth, so he encourages parents to check in with their kids and learn what kind of media they're consuming. Some legislators are looking to increase safety in Kentucky schools this legislative session with Senate Bill 101. It has a simple lesson for Kentucky students. Assault a teacher, face adult consequences. Madison Porter explains the proposed changes.
Senator Matt Nunn calls Senate Bill 101 common sense.
We selected that number because it's a common sense approach to making sure classrooms are safe for everyone.
But the bill's consequences are serious. It targets students who assault teachers, administrators, staff, and bus drivers.
If we want to recruit and retain the best and brightest teachers, to do that, they better feel safe at work.
The bill requires mandatory reporting of assaults. Schools that don't comply face criminal charges. It also mandates a 12-month minimum expulsion for students who physically injure staff. And it lowers the age for students to be charged as adults for third-degree assault from 16 to 14.
This is an issue that we hear a lot from our members.
The Kentucky Education Association supports the bill. The KEA found 25,000 incidents of students assaulting staff since 2021.
That's a staggering number.
Vice President Jessica Heiler says mandatory reporting is one of the most important changes. She says schools don't always report assaults. They fear looking bad.
With who has to report in the timeline, that everything gets reported so that we have real data so that we're making good decisions.
However, she sees areas for improvement. For example, she believes a 12-month expulsion is steep.
We want our kids to be in school. That's really important to us, and we do not want them to miss instruction. However, there do need to be consequences for assault on staff, so we need to find a happy medium there.
In Frankfort, Madison Porter, WKYT.
Senate Bill 101 builds off similar legislation passed in 2024 protecting healthcare workers from assault. A Kentucky House bill would restrict the use of the Kentucky National Guard in foreign combat unless Congress officially declares war. Kentucky House Bill 81, also known as the Defend the Guard Act, is a bill that's been introduced every legislative session since 2021. Introduced again this session, it's sponsored by Republican Representatives T.J. Roberts and Candy Massaroni. They say the goal is to keep Kentucky's National Guard here in the Commonwealth, unless a war has been officially declared by Congress. Roberts says he believes the National Guard should be addressing national security within the United States instead of in foreign combat.
I want them to focus on America. I want to put America first. And the foreign policy consensus that we have had with this focus on global governance, it's not the mission of the National Guard.
The bill also says the Guard can be called if needed to repel an invasion or to suppress an insurrection in the country. It also wouldn't stop the governor from deploying the National Guard outside the state to help with civil authority missions such as natural disaster or for border protection if an invasion has been declared.
Starting to see that rain this morning, but heavier rain is on the way for some folks as we're heading out the door. So here's a look right now at satellite and radar with the heaviest rain right now in portions of Rowan County as we're heading towards Menifee, Powell County. And as you head just west of Danville, you're looking at that heavier band on the way as well. We'll see rain throughout the morning and midday hours as we head towards the late afternoon, though. We're starting to see a change to a wintry mix, and by the late evening, snow chances, which is why we're under that winter weather advisory for portions of Harlan, Letcher, Pike, and Wise counties. Let's talk about temperatures, though. Upper 40s, low 50s this morning. Not too bad, but those are the warmest temperatures of the day, and we'll be seeing temperatures dropping all day long. Caroline.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. Still to come, transgender athletes are challenging state laws banning them from participating in school sports.